The jungle of Mirax Prime was loud with strange sounds, buzzing insects with wings like glass, glowing vines that moved on their own, and animals that hunted without eyes. But none of that scared Kryn. She was a proud warrior of the Zurian race. Fast, deadly, and trained since childhood to fight, she moved like a shadow between the thick blue trees. Her sharp eyes locked onto her target. A human, the last one in this quadrant. He walked slowly, unaware. His body was covered in a strange armored suit, gray and smooth, marked with earth symbols. Kryn had watched him for hours. He had no weapon, no armor plates, and no backup. Easy prey. But her gut told her something was wrong. She didn't listen. To it with a quiet growl, she leaped from a tall tree and dropped down like lightning. Her spear sliced the air as she landed right behind him. The human turned, but too late. She kicked his legs and slammed him to the ground. His body hit the dirt with a loud thud. "Don't move, human," Kryn said coldly, her blade to his throat. The human looked up. He didn't speak, just stared at her with calm, clear eyes. It's not scared. Not begging. That made her angry. "Your kind destroyed our moons," she hissed. "You don't get to act noble." Still no answer. She growled again and slashed his suit. Open with her blade, a tearing sound filled the jungle as the front of the human's suit ripped apart. She expected wires, maybe blood, or a hidden weapon under the armor. What she saw instead made her freeze. On the human's bare chest, just above his heart, was a glowing mark. Not a tattoo, not a scar. It was the sacred symbol of the Starborn, a spiral of light, a sign of the ancient protectors. Only shown in her people's holy books. Kryn's blade dropped slightly. "No," she whispered. Her knees felt weak. That mark. It couldn't be fake. No outsider could even know it. Only her temple's highest elders had ever seen it. The human noticed her reaction. He raised his hands slowly and spoke in her own language. "Not your enemy," he said calmly. "You just don't remember." Her heart raced. His voice was soft, but each word hit her like a hammer. "How do you know our words?" she demanded. "I remember them," he said, "from before your people forgot." Kryn took a shaky step back. The human didn't move. His chest still glowed faintly in the twilight. "You were going to kill me," he said. "But now you're not sure why?" I don't know what this is," Kryn said, voice breaking. "This mark, it's sacred. Only the gods have it." "I'm no god," the human replied, "but your ancestors trusted us." She looked around quickly. Number 1 had seen this. If her commanders knew what she had done, attacking a marked one, she'd be executed. And yet, she couldn't take her eyes off the symbol. "What's your name?" she finally asked. "Cal," he said. "And you are Kryn of the Zurian." Mouth fell open. "How do you know that?" "I told you," Cal said quietly. "I remember more than you think." Kryn stepped back, her weapon shaking in her hand. Everything she had believed, everything she had trained for, was now a lie. She had stripped the human suit to break his defense. Instead, she had broken her own faith. And now, she didn't know what came next. Kryn couldn't sleep that night, even after returning to her camp in the trees. Even after reporting that the human had escaped, her hands still trembled. The image of the glowing symbol on his chest haunted. Her mind, the mark of the ancients. She had only seen it once before carved into the walls of her people's oldest ruins. No living Zurian had ever worn it. No outsider should have known it even existed. And yet, it pulsed softly on a human skin. The same human who now sat alone, unguarded, tied to a vine pole just outside her tent. Yes, she brought him back silently. Without explaining to the others why he wasn't dead, she told her commander, he was weak and held no value. A lie. She needed time. She needed answers. Before sunrise, Kryn stood over Cal, his chest still bare. The faint glow of the mark blinking slowly like a heartbeat. "How did you get it?" she asked in a low voice. "I was chosen," Cal replied. "By who?" He smiled. "Gently. By your ancestors." She frowned. Speak like you knew them. I did, he said simply. Krina stared, waiting for him to laugh, to explain it away. But he did instead, he asked. Have you ever been inside the Hall of Origin? She froze. That place was sacred. Only priestesses and temple elders were allowed inside. I've only seen its doors, she admitted. You'll find my mark carved into the walls there, Cal said, alongside others. We came to your world long ago, helped build, I taught peace, until war changed everything. Lies, Krina said quickly. But her voice was weak. She didn't feel like he was lying. Everything about him, the way he looked at her, the way he knew her name, even his presence felt ancient, not old. True, later that day, Krina made a bold decision. She would bring him to the Hall of Origin herself, not through the front gates, not with permission. That would take months and raise questions. But there was an old path, a forgotten trail through the jungle that led to the back of the mountain temple. Her grandmother had once whispered it existed. Krina had always thought it a bedtime tale, but now she had a reason to test it. That night, she cut Cal's ropes. He didn't run. He just stood, met her gaze, and said, "Thank you." She gave him a spare cloak and pressed a blade into his hand. "If I'm wrong, you'd better use this before." "The temple guards do." Cal nodded. And so, under a red moon, they vanished into the jungle together. The trail was harder than she expected. Strange stone arches, half swallowed by roots, cracked statues of beings with human-like faces and Zurian wings. At one point, they passed a small pool where glowing insects flew in slow circles exactly like the ancient sky map she once saw in her tribe's oldest scroll, and every time she doubted her own sanity. She glanced at Kaland, the mark on his chest, still faintly pulsing like it was guiding them. Finally, after hours of climbing, the jungle opened. There stood a cliff wall, smooth as glass, with a single circular entrance carved into it, no Zurian soldier had ever been here. No path was marked on the map, but Cal stepped forward like he knew the way. "I've come back," he whispered. The stone glowed beneath his palm. The door slid open. Krina stumbled back, gasping. This wasn't just a myth, it was real. He was real, and deep inside the temple, waiting for them, was a truth her people had buried long ago. The walls of the hidden chamber were alive, not with sound, but with memory. As Krina and Cal walked deeper inside the mountain, soft lights followed their steps. Ancient symbols carved into the walls lit up, responding to Cal's presence. Air smelled of old stone and something faintly sweet, like crushed flowers in rain. Krina couldn't stop staring. This wasn't just an old temple. It was a tomb of forgotten truths. They reached a wide hall with a tall pillar in the center. The pillar held a glowing ring of metal, floating midair, slowly spinning. When Cal touched it, the ring showed moving images in the air like a dream made of light. Krina gasped. She saw her own world. Long ago, green and beautiful, she saw her. People walking beside humans, not as enemies, but as friends, warriors and builders, healers and thinkers, side by side then. Fire, bombs, screams her ancestors turned on their allies, a mistake, betrayal, and then came silence. The vision vanished. Krina stood frozen. All her training, all her beliefs, were based on lies. She dropped to her knees, her voice cracked. Why didn't they tell us? Why erase it all? Cal knelt beside her. Because power fears the truth. Outside, the sun was rising, but inside, Krina's heart, a storm raged. She had been raised to fight, to hate humans, to see them as invaders, not brothers. Now, everything had changed. She looked at Cal not as prey, not even as a threat, but as someone ancient, familiar, important. "Why did you come here?" she asked, her voice a whisper. "I didn't come," Cal said. "I was sent by who?" "Your ancestors," he replied. "There is still a promise to keep." Krina's breath caught in her throat, but before she could speak, a loud alarm echoed from outside the chamber. She jumped to her feet. Red lights blinked along the walls. Her communicator buzzed her commander's voice, growling in rage. "Krina, you left your post. Return at once, or be branded traitor." Her stomach twisted. They had tracked her. They knew she looked at Cal. "You need to run." But Cal didn't move. "They'll kill you," she said. "I know," he said softly. "But I won't run from the truth." His calm shook her more then. The alarms this human wasn't weak. He was willing, and something deep inside her, something more ancient than her blood, whispered that she wasn't meant to run either. When they returned to the jungle entrance, full Zurian patrol stood waiting, spears ready, wings flared, eyes burning. Her commander, General Threx, stepped forward. "Krina," he snarled, "you disappoint me." "I brought something," she said, "something the council must see." "I see a filthy alien," Threx spat. "You dare walk beside him?" Krina held her ground. "He bears the mark," she said. "The mark is a fairy tale." "And why? Did the temple open for him?" the soldiers murmured. Even Threx's face twitched, but then his eyes went cold. "Then we'll cut him open and see what spills out." He raised his spear. Cal didn't move. Krina stepped in front of him, blades pointed at her throat. "I swore to protect our truth," she said, "and now I will." The moment paused, then Dash Rex shouted, "Seize her! Seize the human!" Krina and Cal were dragged down, their hands bound. Their fate now rested in a place worse than war, the Judgment Circle, where even truth could be punished. And for the first time, Krina realized she no longer feared death. She feared forgetting him. Asterix's chains bit into Krina's wrists as she stood before the Council of Flame. 10 elders stared down at her from stone thrones, their robes dark as night, their glowing eyes filled with judgment. Beside her, Cal was bound. In heavier chains, his chest still bare, his glowing mark now dimmed under thick iron restraints. They had tried to wash the symbol off. They failed. No matter what they did, it remained warm, pulsing, alive, a sacred echo in human skin. "This trial is a disgrace," one elder hissed. "A Zurian warrior dares protect a human," Worse claims. "He carries the mark of the Starborn." Krina raised her chin. "He didn't claim it. I saw it. It burned like fire when I touched him. Fire can be faked. Ink glows in the jungle." Cal didn't speak. His calm, steady silence unnerved them more than words. Another elder stood. "Then let the memory decide." Krina's heart jumped. The forbidden memory chamber. No warrior had entered it in generations. It was sealed by ancient laws. Marked one could enter and only if summoned by the high flame. And yet now, the old one's voice echoed through the hall. "Unlock the chamber," the high elder declared. "Let the past speak for itself." The chamber door had no handle, just a flat, blank wall covered in spirals of silver dust. As Cal stepped forward, the dust stirred. It lifted like ash in the wind and scattered as the wall vanished before them. Gasps filled the air. A staircase of golden stone led downward, deeper than any soldier had ever seen. Krina walked beside Cal, guards at her back. At the bottom, the space opened into a dome lit by glowing orbs. Murals covered every inch of the walls, ancient carvings of humans and Zurians fighting monsters, planting stars, building together, and in the very center was a single platform floating silent. As Cal stepped onto it, the chamber responded. Light, sound, a voice, older than language itself, filled the room. "He has returned." Krina's knees nearly gave out. The guards staggered back, spears shaking. The elders leaned in from the stairs above, faces pale. The floating platform lifted Cal upward, and then images exploded in the air around them. It's like memories made of stars. They saw it all. Zurians and humans arriving together on Mirax Prime, not as conquerors, but as siblings. The Zurians with wings of night, the humans with fire in their hands, and kindness in their hearts. Together they built temples, seeded life, shaped time. But one day, fear spread. A lie was whispered. The humans want to rule us. Jealous. Elders betrayed them. The humans were hunted. The partnership shattered. The temples sealed. And one final promise was made. for the last human ship vanished into the stars. We will return when the Zurians forget their own truth. One shall carry the mark, not as king, but as a reminder. The vision ended. The platform lowered, and Cal collapsed onto his knees. The mark on his chest burned bright again. Like sunrise through a storm, no one spoke, not even the elders. Krina stepped toward him, eyes wet, heart thudding. "You knew this?" she whispered. "All along." Cal looked up at her. "I didn't remember at first, but when you cut my suit, something woke up. Like the temple called me back." Krina touched his face. The first gentle touch between Zurian and human in thousands of years. "We almost killed you," she whispered. "You still might." Cal smiled softly, but she didn't smile back. "No, not now." Behind them, the council whispered. Some wanted to believe. Others wanted to silence him forever. But one thing was clear. The truth had risen again. And Krina had become more than a warrior. She had become the voice of a forgotten promise. The chamber lights faded. Silence fell heavy after the memory vision. But silence never lasted long in the city of flame. As soon as Cal was brought back from the floating platform, the shouting began. Ancient trickery. Blasphemy. A danger he must be destroyed. Krina stood between Cal and the guards, her arms out wide. "You saw what I saw? The past is real. We lived together once. We built together." The High Elder slammed his staff. "The old ways demand a test. If the marked one is true, let the trial prove it." Krina's blood turned cold. Not the trial of blood and fire. It was the oldest rite of Zurian judgment. A deadly battle inside the furnace pit. No weapons, no armor. Only truth, pain, and strength. And worst of all, the accused could not fight alone. Their bonded guardian must fight beside them. Cal stepped forward before she could speak. "I accept." Krina turned to him. "No. You don't know what this is?" He touched her arm. His voice was steady. "I know you'll be there with me." The furnace pit was carved into the side of an ancient volcano. The sky above it was always red, and the stones below always hot. Zurians gathered in thousands across the ledges. Wings flared, chanting the ancient songs of judgment. Krina stood barefoot in the ash, her body marked with trial paint. She hadn't worn her war gear. There was no point. None of it mattered here. Cal stood beside her, breathing slowly. His eyes were sharp, alert but not afraid. 3 gates stood around the circular arena. Each one would open during a phase of the trial. Behind those gates waited beasts, genetic relics from a time long before civilization. Things created not to kill, but to test. The first gate opened. A massive 4-legged beast stormed out, covered in black bone plating. Its eyes glowed blue. Its roar shook the stones. Krina reached for Cal's hand. "Stay behind me." "No," he said calmly. "We fight. Together." The creature charged. They dodged left. Cal rolled under its legs and kicked its back joint, just like the memory holograms had shown in the chamber. Krina leaped up and landed a sharp elbow to its skull. Together, it's like they'd done it before. The crowd gasped. The beast collapsed, but they had no time to breathe. The second gate opened. This time, the twin-headed serpent slithered out, spitting acid. Krina took the front, distracting it, while Cal climbed the stone wall behind it. He leaped off and slammed both fists into its spine, causing it to screech and twist. Krina pierced its eye with a stone. Shard, it stopped moving. The crowd fell into an eerie silence. Even the elders were watching, no longer scoffing. Then came the final gate. It opened, but no creature stepped out. Only wind. Whispers. Cal's legs buckled. His eyes rolled back. Krina ran to him. "What's happening?" He clutched his head. "The last test." "It's not a beast." The air twisted. Shadows formed her. A perfect copy of Krina. Same eyes, same voice. "You will betray him," Shadow Krina said. Then the shadow turned into him. "Another Cal. You will let her die," it whispered Krina. And Cal stood frozen. The test was fear. Doubt the final enemy was not the body, but the soul. Krina grabbed Cal's face. Look at me. You're real? I'm real. Whatever this is, it's lying. He nodded. Together. They stepped into the storm of illusions hand in hand. The fire did not burn them. The whispers faded. The trial ended. They emerged from the pit. Breathing. Hard, clothes torn, faces covered in ash, but alive. The crowd was silent. Then, slowly, one Zurian warrior stood, then another. Then the chant began. Starborn, Starborn, Dorm. The same people who once spat at Cal now bowed their heads, and Krina, who had once dreamed only of war, now stood as something more, a protector of truth, a warrior of two worlds. Asterisk night fell over the Zurian capital, but no one slept. The sky glowed, with red lanterns floating high above the temple towers. Drums echoed faintly in the distance. A ritual of silence and honor had begun, but inside the temple's highest chamber, only a few stood witness to what had been locked away for centuries. Krina stood beside Cal on the dais of truth. The two of them still wore the scars of the furnace pit burns. Bruises, cuts, but they stood tall. The council elders remained seated below them, silent now. The high elder finally spoke. Your trial is complete. But before we decide what to do next, ... we demand to see everything. Krina's heart clenched. She knew what he meant. The final relic. A sealed orb locked away for over 2,000 years, known as the Heartstone. Only a true starburn, marked by the ancients, could awaken it. The last time it glowed. Her ancestors said the sky split open and the humans vanished. Now, they wanted to test Cal again. She looked at him. He didn't hesitate. Cal stepped forward, barefoot, across the ancient metal. His palm hovered above the stone orb. Krina could barely breathe. If it failed, they'd kill him. If it worked, no one knew what might happen. His hand touched the orb. At first, nothing. Then, a low hum. The stone cracked, light spilling out like a rising sun. Krina gasped. The temple shook slightly beneath her feet. The walls responded. Every inch of the chamber began to glow with old symbols. Forgotten names, constellations lost to time. The floor split open, not in destruction, but like a blooming flower. From beneath it rose a hidden mechanism, a large circular ring of crystal and steel, slowly rotating. A star map. One that didn't show this galaxy, but another, a distant one, the original one. The place where the Starborn came from. Cal stepped back, stunned. I know this place, he said, his voice shaking. I've seen it in dreams, in flashes. I thought it wasn't real. You carry the blueprint in your blood, the High Elder whispered. You were never just a visitor. You were a seed, planted long ago, waiting to awaken us. The room filled with warmth and dread all at once. Some elders dropped to their knees. Others backed away in fear. You're a threat to power, one of them snarled. What you reveal will change everything. I'm not here to rule you, Cal said. I'm here because your ancestors asked me to return, when your hearts were ready. He looked at Krina, and yours was. Krina stepped closer to him, drawn like a tide to the moon. She touched his chest. Above the glowing mark, it pulsed gently under her palm. I felt something the moment I saw it, she whispered. Not fear, not hatred, just calling. Smiled sadly. I think I've been waiting for you too. The High Elder stepped forward. If you leave this temple, the others will try to stop you. Those who benefit from lies will not let truth walk freely. Krina looked around. This is just the beginning, she said. But it's not just his fight, she turned to Cal. You will not walk alone. He looked at her with a softness that had no place in war but all the power in the world. Then, let's walk together. And so, the doors of the great chamber opened, for the first time in 1,000 years. A human and a Zurian descended the steps together, not as enemies, not as judge and judged, but as something new. The fire of the past was still burning, but so was something else. Hope. The storm came at dawn, not from the sky but from the people. Word spread faster than wings. The human is real. Starborn walks among us. The traitor Krina stands with him. Some bowed, some wept. Some marched with weapons drawn. The council was splitting. Old warriors refused to believe. Nobles felt their power slipping. Whispers of exile or war filled the air. Krina stood at the center of it all. It's armored not in metal but in choice, and the world waited for her answer. She stood with Cal on the eastern watchtower, staring at the rising sun. Their faces were quiet, but their hearts beat like war drums. Behind them, the Zurian sky was no longer peaceful. Ships began to circle. Commanders barked orders. Krina's own old squad had been ordered to kill the human, and if she defended him, they would kill her too. Krina breathed in the cold air, sharp as a blade. I was trained to die for my people, she said quietly, but never to think for them. Cal stood beside her, his hand brushing hers. Then think now, for yourself. 4. Truth. She closed her eyes. Memories flashed her first lesson as a child. Humans are beasts. The fire pits where she earned her scars. Pain makes you loyal. The whisper of her dying grandmother. The truth is buried beneath fear. And then the day in the jungle, when she cut open a man's armor, expecting blood, and found the light of her own forgotten ancestors. She opened her eyes and made her choice. The tower doors burst open. Her old commander stormed in with 10 guards. Krina, step aside. She faced them, steady and tall. No, he roared. You betray your race for him? I betray nothing, she replied. I return us to who we were. He's just a man. No, she said. He's a mirror. And we're afraid to see ourselves. Threx raised his blade, so did the guards. But Krina didn't move. Instead, she dropped her own weapon. If you strike me now, she said, then you prove you never believed in honor. Threx hesitated. Then one by one, guards lowered their weapons. That afternoon, Krina and Cal stood before the people. Not as rulers, not as gods, but as 2 souls who had burned through fear and fire. They didn't make speeches, they just stood. Together, the mark on Cal's chest glowed softly, and Krina reached up not as a warrior, but as a woman and placed her hand over it. I choose him, she said, not for love, not for glory, but because truth demands action. And so, a new chapter began, not written in stone or war, but in the choice of a warrior who saw light beneath a stranger's skin.